In an alternate version of Earth 828 during the 1960s, Dr. Reed Richards and his wife, Dr. Sue Storm, discover that she is pregnant after trying for 2 long years and finally giving up hope on becoming parents. Both celebrate with overwhelming joy, embracing in the privacy of their laboratory. Yet soon begin to worry about the special medical protocols they must carefully follow, given their unique physiological conditions and the unknown effects their powers might have on the developing child. Shortly after receiving the miraculous news, television host Ted Gilbert airs a special program. Marking the 4th anniversary of the historic space exploration achieved by the now world-famous Fantastic Four, a remarkable team formed by the brilliant Reed Richards, his loyal best friend Ben Grimm, his devoted wife Sue Storm, and his impulsive brother-in-law Johnny Storm. The group had gained their incredible superhuman powers after being exposed to dangerous cosmic radiation during an experimental space mission aboard the spacecraft Excelsior, forever changing their lives. Richards's body became impossibly elastic, allowing him to stretch and reshape himself. Sue learned to manipulate invisible energy fields with her mind. Johnny gained the extraordinary power of pyrokinesis, the ability to create and control fire at will. And Grimm was permanently transformed into a superhuman creature covered with indestructible, orange-colored, rock-like skin. Residing together in the towering Baxter Building in the heart of Manhattan, they faced dangerous villains such as the monstrous Giganto, the bitter Harvey Mole Man Elder, the calculating Mad Thinker, and the treacherous Red Ghost with his super apes, always standing united as one inseparable family. Over time, they became global leaders in education, scientific advancement, and even started influencing the political landscape of nations worldwide. Later that evening, as the team gathers around the dinner table for their regular meal, Ben notices something distinctly unusual about Reed and Sue's behavior. Exchanging knowing glances and barely concealed smiles, he finally asks directly if Sue is pregnant, then warmly congratulates her when the truth is revealed. Johnny Storm enthusiastically follows with his own heartfelt congratulations to his sister. The pregnancy soon becomes major public news across all media channels, and Dr. Reed Richards, assisted by his advanced robot, begins meticulously preparing their home for the baby's imminent arrival, installing safety equipment and modifying the environment. Sue decides to take temporary maternity leave from the Future Foundation, the powerful organization responsible for maintaining world peace and overseeing global demilitarization efforts. Meanwhile, the curious public speculates endlessly whether the child will inherit extraordinary superhuman powers from either parent. Inside the advanced laboratory, Johnny confronts Reed about the new experimental suits he designed years ago but never completed, the prototypes gathering dust. Johnny believes Reed is secretly afraid of the coming baby and the responsibilities of fatherhood, but Reed firmly disagrees, insisting he's simply too busy with other pressing matters. He then mentions to Johnny the strange deep space transmissions he's been receiving for weeks, complex alien signals he hasn't yet been able to decode or understand. Moments later, Reed demonstrates an ambitious experiment in teleporting organic matter across space. The test is successful, transporting a small living organism, but the process demands enormous amounts of energy, far more than anticipated. Johnny seems genuinely fascinated by the mysterious signals coming from deep space, and by the thrilling possibility of returning there one day for another adventure. Reed runs comprehensive medical scans on the unborn baby using advanced equipment, carefully searching for any genetic mutation like those present in himself and Sue. Sue gently uses her powers of invisibility to project the baby's ultrasound image into the air, reassuring Reed that the child is completely normal and healthy, easing his scientific concerns. Meanwhile, Ben walks casually through the neighborhood streets and is playfully challenged by an enthusiastic group of children to lift a parked car, a playful nod to the iconic image of Superman from the comic books. Moments later, he meets Rachel, the children's dedicated teacher, who kindly invites him to visit her class next time to speak to the students. That evening, as they all prepare for another family dinner, Johnny confides to Ben his growing frustration about not returning to space exploration. Soon after, the group observes the glittering city skyline from their observation deck, while Reed proudly reveals that he has methodically mapped out the criminal networks operating in New York and taken strategic action to significantly reduce crime rates. Suddenly, the night sky burns bright orange as an alien woman descends dramatically from the heavens, riding a gleaming silver surfboard that leaves a shimmering trail. The mysterious Silver Surfer solemnly declares that their world has been marked for death and will be consumed by the devourer, Galactus, a cosmic being of infinite power, who feeds voraciously upon entire planets. Earth, she warns ominously, is next on his list, and nothing can stop him. Johnny immediately flies after her into space at maximum speed, but fails to catch up, left only with an enigmatic proverb echoing mysteriously in his mind. Back at the lab, the team urgently tracks the surfer's previous appearances across the galaxy and discovered that all 5 plants she visited before were completely destroyed shortly afterward. By carefully tracing the last planet's unique energy trail, they successfully locate Galactus himself. Johnny tries earnestly to tell the others that the Silver Surfer spoke directly to him telepathically, but unable to understand her alien words, he is quickly dismissed by the skeptical team. Intrigued, he revisits the old transmissions and notices that her language is spoken in every single one of them, creating a pattern. Reed calls Johnny to the lab to proudly present the new spacesuits he has finally built, warning him to be extremely careful as the flame-resistant version gives him less than 10 minutes of precious oxygen. The Fantastic Four publicly announce their dangerous mission to confront Galactus, departing aboard the newly upgraded Excelsior to widespread media coverage. The launch is a complete success. Using the revolutionary faster-than-light engine, they reach a distant planet outside the solar system, where they detect the Silver Surfer's energy signal emanating from deep within the planet itself. To their absolute shock, the planet collapses inward and is absorbed entirely into the colossal ship of Galactus. The team manages to infiltrate the massive vessel, where they are immediately met by the Silver Surfer, who warns that they should not have come, but that Galactus will see them now regardless. She then reveals to Johnny the meaning of her earlier words, a proverb from her homeworld that translates to "die with yours," a phrase meant as a blessing, not a curse. They finally meet Galactus, and he is a gigantic humanoid. Galactus demands Sue's unborn child, claiming that the baby holds infinite potential and must inherit the eternal hunger that torments him. The team refuses and attacks, but their efforts fail. They flee through a wormhole while the surfer gives chase. Emerging near a neutron star, Reed formulates a desperate plan: trap the Silver Surfer beyond the event horizon and use the star's gravity to slingshot the Excelsior home. The plan works, but the stress triggers Sue's labor. Aboard the ship, a healthy baby called Franklin Richards is born by the strong yet delicate hands of Ben. Returning to Earth, the Fantastic Four are greeted with celebration. But the mood darkens when Reed addresses the press in the Baxter Building lobby. He admits that Galactus was not defeated, and that the cosmic being demanded Franklin. They refused, even if it means the end of humanity. Meanwhile, the Silver Surfer breaks free from the temporal rift and reunites with Galactus, who reprimands her and sets his course for planet Earth. Unable to see a clear path to protect the world, Reed references Archimedes' law of the lever, the principle that a small force placed correctly can move a massive weight. For him, solving a smaller problem may begin to move the larger one. Johnny continues decoding the alien signals, searching for that symbolic lever. Public opinion soon turns against the team, urging them to hand over the baby. Sue becomes furious upon discovering that Reed is even considering it. He argues that he always plans for the worst to outsmart his enemies. She counters that his cold logic wounds those closest to him, including her. Sue declares that she will never surrender her child. Sue then steps outside to address the angry crowd. She recalls how her father fought to keep their family together after a devastating car crash. She swears that, as her mother once protected her, the Fantastic Four will move heaven and earth to save humanity. In that moment, Reed realizes that his teleportation bridge could move the planet itself. The Future Foundation unites nations across the globe to build synchronized versions of the bridge. As Galactus's ship nears Earth, the planet's energy is redirected to power the project, but the Silver Surfer destroys the structures. Now fluent in her language, Johnny learns her true origin. She was once an astronomer from the planet Zenla, who sacrificed herself to become Galactus's herald, in order to save her daughter. He confronts her once more in Times Square, pleading for her to see the destruction she has caused. She insists that if they want to save their world, they must give up Franklin, just as she once gave up her own. With no way to escape the solar system, Reed designs one final plan: lure Galactus to the only remaining bridge in Times Square and teleport him to the farthest reaches of the universe. But Franklin must serve as bait. With help from the Mole Man, the team coordinates the evacuation of New York into the subterranean tunnels of Subterranea. Ben shares a heartfelt goodbye with Rachel before the battle. Galactus arrives on Earth and decides to take the baby himself. He marches through New York City, leaving destruction in his wake. The team distracts him, swapping the infant's seat with an empty decoy. But the Titan discovers the ruse, locates the child within the Baxter Building, and is not fooled. In the climactic battle, Reed, Johnny, and Ben fight together to stop Galactus, but their efforts fail. Ben is struck down and hurled into space, saved only by Johnny. Reed attempts to face Galactus alone, but is quickly defeated as the cosmic giant continues forward. He finally locates Franklin. Sue pushes herself beyond her limits, using every last ounce of strength to drive Galactus toward the bridge. She manages to use all her strength to push Galactus toward the portal, while the rest of the team succeeds in saving little Franklin. But Galactus is resilient and fights with all his strength to escape the trap. Johnny bids farewell to his family and prepares to sacrifice himself to keep the giant trapped. Before he can, the Silver Surfer intervenes, crashing into Galactus and pulling both into the cosmic gateway. Sue collapses. Reed desperately tries to revive her. In vain. Until Franklin, his powers awakening for the first time, brings his mother back to life. The world celebrates the victory. The Fantastic Four prepare for another appearance on the Ted Gilbert Show, but leave the studio early when a new distress call arrives. In a post-credit scene, 4 years later, Sue reads a bedtime story to Franklin. She leaves the room to fetch another book, and when she returns, a cloaked man sits silently on the couch. He removes his hood, revealing his face. The boy recognizes him instantly. It is Dr. Doom. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel grow and brings more stories like this to life.